Hi, and welcome back. Today we'll find out how Isra is progressing with her quest of Gordon. It took him 7 weeks to work up the courage to ask, Isra, I've been wondering about your hair. It's the most mm, interesting shade of violet. I did not make him suffer any longer. I had acquired the knowledge I needed. My desire was confirmation that I had established a level of comfort for Gordon, and he with me. In time, he would open his heart even more to me, which was what I ultimately sought. I would get it right this time. Gordon, as my second husband, would not disappoint. I told Gordon about the new girl in the salon who had colored it the first time, and he roared with delight. Not so much about the color, but the fact that I had continued to keep my hair purple. And you never changed it? He asked. Never. Now all the girls practice on me, although they've never been able to duplicate the original shade. So I've had various purple hues over the years. Why don't you change it? For me, the color of my hair is closure for the past and represents the path I'm on. Even though I appear to be stumbling, I'll be rewarded for my efforts. I'll learn from my mistakes. It was the first entirely honest statement I had made to Gordon, which could be interpreted in many different ways. Fortunately for me, Gordon chose one he found commendable and to his favor. Isra, you're my violet haired girl, he said softly under his breath, and gave me a smile that rewarded my efforts. When I look back, I believe the first thing I did to solidify my position as his girlfriend was disclosing why I was incarcerated. At the onset of our friendship, he was too polite to ask, and I let him assume it was drugs that landed me behind bars. I did not lie, but I used this misconception to my benefit. I felt I needed some time to win him over before I told him that the woman he was enamored with had murdered her husband. I waited 6 months, prudently wrapping him with the best of my charm and wit before I told him. My stomach mimicked my apprehension in agonizing twists, for my entire future was dependent on this performance. Another 6 months to further cement our friendship would have been ideal, but I feared interference. I wanted Gordon to hear about my downfall from me and not from another one of the inmates or guards who, if in a bad mood, might let it slip one day just to spite me. After an anxiety ridden night, I tearfully told him the same story I divulged in court so many years ago. I prefaced my story with the knowledge that I had wanted to tell him sooner, but he had become such an important part of my life that I had refrained from confessing for fear of losing him. As I spoke, I pretended to struggle to maintain eye contact with the pale blue eyes I had come to know so well. Holding on to their paleness, I projected my remorse deep into his eyes with my own. I professed great shame for my actions and told Gordon I understood if he never wanted to speak to me again. Head bowed for effect, I paused as I allowed the last single tear to slide down my wet cheek. Bringing my lips to his ear until the warmth of my breath could be felt, I pleaded, please don't hate me, Gordon. Please. I couldn't stand it if you hated me. I hovered only long enough to allow my words to melt into his consciousness before I leapt up and whispered, please forgive me. I made my exit with both hands cupped over my face, slowly allowing him to observe my every step in what I had hoped would bring him to the conclusion that he could not allow a love such as ours to to exit his life as suddenly as I had done. It was quite the performance. As our relationship evolved, he became more at ease about inquiring about my life. Yet there was a distinct limit to what he was prepared to hear. As a man who had always lived a safe and predictable life, I suspect befriending a murderer was a bit of a novelty for him. The predicament of my life allotted Gordon a glimpse of an existence he could not fathom. My relationship with my husband was a source of endless fascination. He never tired of hearing with disgust how my husband had crafted his web of lies, my discovery of his deceit, and the eventual murder. Gordon was, to my relief, entirely sympathetic of my plight, claiming, Thai men do not know how to treat their women. He was able to rationalize, as I had, how my husband's actions had justified murder. Isra, I cannot imagine how it was for you to discover what that rotten rascal had done. Any woman would be distraught and snap as you did. Did I tell you I have a daughter? Gordon said one afternoon. No. Her name's Emily. She's extraordinary. How nice, I said as cheerfully as I could manage. He avoided my eyes when he told me her age. She was older than me. I wondered if Emily knew about me. I did not have the courage to ask, although I suspected I already knew the answer. If Emily knew about me, she would be in Thailand and she would be fully riled. Emily would have surely tried to intervene in our relationship, if she knew. Emily did not know. I talk to Emily every Sunday, Gordon said. How nice. Are you close? Oh, yes, especially since her mother passed, said Gordon. How nice, I said, stretching my positivity as far as it would go. Emily says she's relieved to hear me sounding so good. Dread filled me. Emily's conversations with her father, whose voice had resumed a degree of happiness, was a splendorous sound to her apprehensive heart, and she was simply content to hear its spark once again ignited. Thus far, Emily had opted to plead ignorance as to the cause of her father's sudden euphoria, and was too preoccupied with her own grief to try and solve the mystery that appeared to be more of a relief than a concern. How long would I have before Emily smartened up? Well, hopefully she'll have a little more time. Tomorrow we will go to chapter 15 and we are back in Cambodia with Arani. Thank you so much for listening.